Welcome to Theory of Pets. I'm a passionate pet owner with a drive to help others like me uncover the truth about the pet industry and what goes on behind the scenes.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Theory of Pets. Thanks for tuning in today. With Veterans Day right around the corner, I thought it was a great time to talk to a veteran that is really making an impact in the pet industry. I have been following Matthew Lamarand for a while. He's the CEO of Dogology University. He is also a United States military veteran canine handler. Matthew has almost 10 years of experience training canines to scout for explosives. And once he was out of the military, he realized that 96% of surrender dogs never went through any type of obedience or behavior manners training. So he decided to dedicate himself to train those dogs for service work. And then he decided to add a little bit more onto it, and he works with veterans that are battling symptoms of PTSD. He suffers from PTSD himself, so he wanted to help that community specifically, and that's what ultimately led him to found Dogology University, which is based out of the Detroit area. He trains these dogs and then he donates them. It's a nonprofit organization that he's running. He donates them to veterans in need. So today I wanted to talk to him, hear a little bit about his background, hear about Dogology University, what it is. It's actually a training program that anybody can use. You don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to be wanting to train a service dog or a sniffing dog, a working dog. It's actually behavior training and obedience training for the average pet owner. I think it's really user friendly. I've recommended it to a number of dog owners who have had success with it. So I wanted to talk to Matthew today and learn a little bit more about him and about his training method. So Matthew, I know a little bit about you and your background, but for everybody listening today, can you talk a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the pet industry?
So I guess I got my start in the military. I actually was trying my darnest to get with the military working dogs canine unit. I knew that that's what I wanted to do when I actually enlisted. And it just took me so many tries. I tried once, got denied, tried twice, got denied. And that third time, I told my wife, if I don't get it, then, it's just not in the cards, and I won't try again. And luckily, it took almost 6 months, and I actually got a response, and it said that I got accepted. And I went down to San Antonio and trained with the Department of Defense with the canine units. Became a certified explosive detection dog handler, and deployed overseas several times in my career. Iraq twice, Jordan, Oman, Pakistan, Kuwait, Qatar, and I did a lot of those things, and I did it all to the best of my ability, and I just didn't feel like I done it all, and my enlistment was coming up, and it was about to end, and I was like, okay, there's got to be something left that, there's something that I feel like I'm just not doing, and tornadoes came and hit Arkansas, and President Obama came out, and I actually got selected to go work with President Obama and the Secret Service to provide security for his entire entourage. And
wow.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with the Secret Service, and they were asking about if I would be interested in going to the Northeast, the Connecticut area. And I was like, heck yeah. So I tried out for that and got accepted for doing Secret Service there. And so traveled around with President Obama, provided Secret Service security detail while he was actually giving his endorsement for Hillary Clinton right before the election race. And I got out and I didn't know what to do. Like, the only thing I got experience-wise was looking for explosives. And coming back to Michigan, there really isn't a huge demand, I guess, if I wouldn't work for the airport. But they wanted me to go through all the training that I literally just had. I had all sorts of certifications. They were telling me, it's not good enough. And I've always loved dogs. I knew dogs were the thing that I needed to do. And everyone just either told me I had too much experience or not enough. And it was just getting really, really discouraging. So then I actually got connected with several private, I will call it private dog trainers who work in the pet industry, and found my calling. Literally, it's the same principle. People are just wanting an obedient dog, and it's just basic obedience. If I can get a dog to be obedient to odor and looking for explosives, I can get a dog to not pull on a leash. And it seemed like a very easy, seamless transition. And people were, asking about what was the Middle East like, what was President Obama like, and what was this and that like. And I just started realizing, like, people are actually interested in what I did over there, and I can make lessons on how it's relevant to their dogs. I kept using analogies from my time in the military. So I wrote Dogology 101, and I did it as a side project, just goofing around. It's really notes from the DOD, like my handwritten notes and sketches about learning theory that I learned while going through the canine school in San Antonio. And I just put it up on Amazon, self-published, and I thought it was going to be my friends and family really downloading it, and people really got into it. It sold over 1,100 copies within 2 weeks. We made it to number 3 Amazon best-selling within that time frame, and it just, at that moment, I looked at my wife and I was like, dude, this can be something for real. We have to really consider this. So we then created Dogology University, and we considered Dogology 101 the course text, if you will. And we haven't looked back. We made Dogology 202 really is a sequel to 101 because 101 was the learning theory, and 202 is like the how-to, the step-by-step kind of guide. And it's just been growing. People, will contact us about service dogs, and we just wanted to give as much information. People need to be informed, and that's what I'm really hoping to do with the books and my services.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much for your service. And second of all, what a cool journey.
I know that was really long-winded, and I'm sorry if I took up too much time, but I am passionate about it, and I don't know if I would have be where I'm at without those experiences. To be to sound as humbling as possible, but all those experiences shaped who I am, what I believe, in my philosophy with dogs, business, and family, really.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's just so awesome. I mean, what a cool journey to go on and to find yourself where you really want to be at the end of it is what everybody really wants, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you suffer from PTSD yourself, and I know that you wanted to help the community and give back a little bit. So can you talk a little bit about what you're doing in that area?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is the education. There's a stigma about being military, being overseas, and then coming back not the same. I denied that I had PTSD for years. I got out in 2015, and it took probably about until this year for me to finally take ownership of it. I just kept saying I had anxiety, I had a little bit of regret, and then I was just tired. There is a saying that you have something, and being labeled, it's hard to deal with. It's hard to accept. And I know that there are other veterans who are like me, who, one, I didn't really see combat. I just saw things that I tried to make fun of. I tried to play it off as being cool with it, and I didn't hold my composure that well. It affects me. I regret some of the things I said, the things how I acted, and that is actually the worst part about it. That I didn't feel like I made a difference, and I could have done more. If that makes sense. And so it's like that regret. So the education and acceptance as a veteran, to have this label but not being completely debilitating. My thing too was that I have all my appendages. I have no gunshot wounds. I have nothing like that. And to sit here and say that I have a disability is probably one of the hardest things to really say. So these dogs that I'm getting, they're being literally just given away. We were just working with a female pit bull who was pregnant, and she was literally giving birth to puppies in a rescue or a pound, if you will. And that was really, really heartbreaking. Like, this is an afterthought. And I feel like the veterans in our community can really get behind that. Like, I feel like I was an afterthought. Like, yeah, thank you for my service. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. But like, when I really need you, like when I really need education and I need to get reintegrated into my community and my society, and I want to give back, like, it's like, oh, okay, you're just whatever, you're the veteran. And then you get like the skills that don't really translate. So I had to go find my own path. Like, there was no one there to say, this is what you have, this is what you can provide, this is what you can do. So I feel like, again, we're outcasts, we're forgotten about, and we can really connect with these dogs, especially pit bulls, because they have a stigma around the breed itself. And the whole nonprofit side of our business is called Mission Second Strike. It's kind of play on second chance. It's also a play on the words of, when you're enlisted, you get your stripes, and you get a second chance to be normal and accepted in the civilian world. The whole being hyper vigilant, hyper alert, not wanting to go out in public during the day, and going grocery shopping at your 24-hour Walmart or whatever grocery store is open, 24 hours, and going in at midnight or 4 in the morning when no one's in there just because you can't deal with the crowds. Getting that dog who can, one, help, like, it's trained to respond to your emotions and your anxiety, and doing an actual task for you, like either having your back, like watching your six, looking at other people, clearing the house, turning on lights when you first come back and the house is dark. Those are the types of things that help people reintegrate. And then again, you have this dog where you have to take care of, and you have to get out the house. You have to walk them. You have to do this. You have to do that, and it just gets you back slowly to just being a normal person, right? And that is really what it's all about.
Absolutely. And it's amazing that a dog can have that kind of an effect on people. When you talk about it in that aspect, it's life-changing. It's not just the bond between a dog and their owner, but it's something that actually changes your life.
Yeah, when you are literally, something I struggle with, and I hope people can relate to it, is when I got back from my last deployment, like, something really did change, and I tried to take my life. And I didn't have a service dog at the time, but I just had a Rottweiler who I think was like 12 weeks old, and he came, and I was like laying there, and I was disoriented, and he like curled up into my arms, licked my face, and like I came to. And you can't really be depressed when a dog is licking your face and you're petting a dog. Like, it's, to me, scientifically impossible, right? And so it got me back for that split second to be normal. I don't want to use normal. I'm using air quotes, but just to come back from all of that and put things in perspective. Like, he saved my life, and that is literally, if I can do this, like if I'm on this earth for any longer than today, if I can provide that same thing to someone else who's going through the same struggle, then I have literally completed my purpose in life. If I saved a dog and I saved another veteran or another person who's dealing with trauma from making the ultimate decision, then I'm fulfilled.
For sure. What a powerful message. And you, just so everybody is clear, I know you talked about the pit bull giving birth in the shelter, but all of the dogs that you train and give away for free are rescue dogs.
We are, I would say 90% of them. The one that we have currently, Valor, he was a rescue pit bull. But we do, sometimes we'll have dogs that are bred, like the shepherds. They would be service dogs, but for really what we're using them for, like the diabetic alert is going to be shepherds, and then for our PTSD, we're sticking with the pit bulls that are rescues.
And you've rehomed dogs with families, with children, everything with issues from like diabetes to behavior disorders.
Yes, we have worked with a child with Asperger's, and this child would go home just distraught, getting picked on, getting made fun of. He would just get really, really emotionally distraught at school and begin to hit himself physically. And with the dog prevented him from causing too much harm. And all the attention from that child, the other kids were giving him because of this disorder, went to the dog. And the dog ate it up, and it made the child, just blend in with everyone else, right? Because all the attention was on the dog. And it just, hearing the story of, the child coming back home, and usually it's a bad report, I have no friends, I'm not normal, to then being able to say, like, it was a great day, I had fun. Like, that is, if you don't get chills from hearing that, then I don't know what's wrong,
Absolutely.
And then we did do diabetic alert with a standard poodle. I was really, really happy about this one. There was an adolescent. They would go into shock, usually during the night, which is why the dog was there. Instead of having all the equipment, the parents waking up constantly worried about it, the dog would alert and bark, and the child or the adolescent would be able to inject themselves with insulin, and everyone was able to. It just gave them that peace of mind. You still have the equipment because dogs aren't foolproof, but it just gave that layer of, again, normalcy. That's what I think service dogs are really about, is just bringing a little bit of normalcy back to your life. And that's what we're striving to do.
I love your message. It's so inspiring. I hope that it inspires other people to think about what they can do to give back. And now, before we wrap things up, let's just talk a little bit about your website and what people can find there.
Yeah. So on the website, we usually get people who have problems with their dogs. And it's not really necessarily the dog's fault. It's the owner's not knowing what to do or how to solve these behaviors. So we just literally wrote this ebook guide. It's completely free on common misbehaviors and how to solve them. So if people just go to the website and you're having issues like barking, digging, jumping up, and others, just go on the website and download it, and hopefully, even if I'm not in your area, we can provide some value to help you get that relationship, to get that obedience that they're looking for.
That's fantastic. And again, we'll link to that site. There's some fantastic information on there for pet owners. And it's awesome to know that you guys are just an email away. If anybody has any questions that they want to ask you, obviously our podcast has a far reach, so not everybody is going to be close to your area. But if somebody is farther away from you and they're interested in finding a dog to work with themselves, their child, a family member, what would you recommend to get that process started?
So we are working with several certified American Disability Act rescues and service dog providers. We're starting a group where we'll all be linked to each other, and we can provide that access. Because some people, like you just said, have a further and greater reach, and just getting that information to people, and recommend people that we trust. That's the biggest thing. Is we don't. We're really about the balance aspect of training. We're really trying to stay away from the whole shock collars, e-collars, the old school compulsion methods, and we just want to be able to provide people, even if we're not in your area, people that we can recommend for you.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's great to know. I'm from Maine, so here in the Northeast, we're close to you, and some people might travel, but for listeners that are all over the country, that's awesome.
Great. That's, again, our whole mission, the whole reason why we started this is to be able to reduce, like right now, 95% of all dogs that are bred or born, if they don't get the obedience, are going to end up in a shelter. And so our whole thing is that we want to be able to provide enough education, because that's what it comes down to be able to lower that surrender rate by 15% the next 5 years. So that's really the name of the game.
That is an amazing mission, and I think it is important to shine a light on that. A lot of dogs are surrendered simply for obedience issues, behavior problems, and that also makes it harder to get those dogs adopted out when they already come in with behavior issues, and then they're in the shelter environment. It's very overwhelming. So it's fantastic that you guys are trying to cut that down and really nip it in the bud before the dogs even end up in the shelter.
Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing with us.
I have to give one more huge thank you to Matthew. It was a pleasure speaking with him and having him as a guest. I find his story so inspiring, and I think if all of us just think a little bit about what our interests are or what our background is, there's a way to use that to give back and to help people that are in need. So I hope that you listen to this podcast and you feel the same way, with at the time of year that's coming, the holidays are upon us, and it really, usually spurs people to sort of get into that giving mode. So take a minute and reflect on your own skills in your own life, and what can you do to help people in need, to help animals in need, be more like Matthew, right? So again, there's links to Dogology University, and as well as a link to the Amazon page where you can buy his book underneath this podcast. And if you guys liked this episode and you want to hear more, just jump on to theoryofpets.com, or if you're listening through iTunes or the Google Play Store, just leave us a quick review. It only takes a second, and it really helps me to show potential interviewers like Matthew that you guys are out there, you're listening, and you want to hear more great stories inside the pet industry. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. I will be back with another hot topic very soon.